Hello, and welcome to your library orientation class. My name is Elizabeth Cook, and I am the Instructional Design Librarian here at Citrus College. I am so happy to guide you through the research process. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is go to the library homepage here. You can find lots of good information on our library homepage, including the hours that we're here in the library, which are Monday through Thursday from 8 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock at night, and on Friday from 8 o'clock in the morning until 4:30 in the afternoon. But we know that just because we're here in the library doesn't necessarily mean that you are, but you could still need help. So we have this beautiful contact us page right here. You can call us, you can email us, you can text us, you can open up a live chat with us. You can contact us via Facebook and Instagram. I like to point those out not only because I think we're kind of fun to follow on social media, but also because I have had students reach out to me with research questions on both of those platforms, and I'm happy to answer you there. So whatever way you are most comfortable, please reach out and ask for help. The good news is that everything we're going to talk about today you can do online. You don't have to be in the library or even on campus. You will, however, need a My Library account. So you'll notice under Students here, there's a link for My Library account, so we'll click on that. There's lots of instructions here on how to set it up. We're not going to worry too much about that. We're just going to click Sign In right here. So when you're using the databases or resources at home, this is what you're going to see. We like to make sure that our students sign in to use the resources. They're proprietary for Citrus students, so think of it like your Hulu or Netflix account. You have to verify that it's really you. So if you do not have a My Library account, what you're going to do is click Set Reset Password. It's going to take you to this page, and you're going to put your Wingspan user ID in this box. For most of you, that's probably an A number. Some of you might have a CC number. Just plug that in. Then you're going to click Request New Password. What that is going to do is prompt the system to send an email to your Citrus email, and it will send you a link that will allow you to click on it, create a new password for your My Library account, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so once we have our My Library account set up, we can go ahead and really start looking at what we can do in the library and how we can help you with your research. Now, a question that I get asked a lot as a librarian is, why do we have to use library databases? We all know how to Google. Why is it so important that we use library databases? And you know what? I think it's a valid question. Google is great for so many things, but not necessarily for scholarly research. If I were to go to Google and put in my topic, which is just Frankenstein, first thing I notice is it gives me a ton of results, right? For this assignment, you need 5 to 8 secondary sources. You're going to want to lean more on the side of having like closer to 8, but you're not going to need 77 million, right? And of course, the first result here is Wikipedia, which I would never use as a scholarly source for a number of reasons, the most important of which being anybody can edit it. You want to be really, really careful when you're doing research on the internet, because while Google is great and we have all of humanity's knowledge right here at our fingertips, we also have all of humanity's knowledge right here at our fingertips, the good and the crap. And you're going to want to ask yourself when you're doing research, is this crap? So we've created a little page here for you that sort of talks about how to evaluate sources. And one of the things I always like to point out is the crap test. You're going to ask yourself, is this article crap? So you're going to examine it for currency. You're doing more literary research, so currency isn't going to be as important. Something said in 1995 about Frankenstein could be just as relevant today. But you do want to keep in mind the temperature of the time. What was society like then? How could that be impacting the author's writing? You're going to want to look for relevance. Is the article about your topic? Frankenstein is really a part of pop culture. I can say that I Frankenstein something, and even if you've never read the book, you know what I mean. So you want to be sure to make sure your article is about what you want it to be about your topic. You're not going to hurt for information. The challenge is going to be evaluating the information and making sure it works for you. You're going to want to check your article for accuracy. It seems like, a no-brainer, but we still like to say it. You want to make sure that the article is verifiably correct. You want to examine the article for authority. What is the author's qualifications? Why did they get to tell you about this? Whenever anybody's telling you about something or you're reading an article, you should ask why this person gets to tell me about this thing. I get to make this video for you because I have a master's degree in library and information science, and I've been a teaching librarian for several years, and I have online teaching credentials. So that's my authority. That's why I get to do this, and I'm happy to tell you about it. Anybody worth their salt is going to tell you what their authority is. That's one of the issues with things like Wikipedia, right? You don't have to put your name on it. And if you're not willing to put your name on it, then you don't really stand behind it, so you can pretty much say anything. So you always want to look for authority. And you also want to examine the article for purpose. Why was the article written? What is the point here? Everything's written for a reason. Is it trying to educate me? Is it trying to entertain me? Is it trying to sell me something? Is it trying to incite emotions? Just think about that when you're doing your research. Why was this written? So you're going to ask yourself when you're reading any article, is this crap? The good news is that the library databases here have already undergone what we call a cursory crap test, right? Does that mean you shouldn't use your critical thinking skills? Absolutely not. You should most definitely always, always, always engage your critical thinking skills when doing any kind of research. But you're less likely to find something completely off the wall in a library database. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of them. I'm going to click here, the link that says databases. We have 49 databases available to you in the library. We're going to look at 3 today that I think are going to be really helpful for your paper. So the first one we're going to look at is under our popular databases here. It's going to be Gale Literary Sources. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And Gale is a very popular database. You'll probably see, this particular logo a bunch in your research. It's very easy to use. I'm going to start out by casting a really wide net, right? I'm going to start out just looking for Frankenstein in my basic search here. And then on my second line here, I'm going to link it with and I'm going to drop down here and do person, by, or about. And I'm going to put my author in. So I do that, and it gives me 187 articles, which is great. But here's the thing, you're not going to read 187 articles. Nobody expects you to, nobody wants you to. You're already working hard. Let's work smart. I know that you are not writing a book report on Frankenstein. You're not going to say, in this chapter this happened and I felt this way. You're examining very specific concepts in the novel. And this database can help you with that. Over here, I have a search within results bar. So what I'm going to do is take another keyword, what my particular essay is about, and I'm going to search for that. Like, let's say I'm searching, I want to know about isolation, the theme of isolation in the book. So I'm going to put in isolation. And that takes me down to 58 results, which is fantastic, right? That's way better than before. Be aware, though, that the database only knows what I tell it. It's only looking for the word isolation. So if you are not getting what you think you should be, think of different ways to say the same thing. Like other ways of saying isolation could be loneliness or sadness or abandonment, things like that. So definitely plug those words in as well. Just using our keyword isolation, I can go through and sort of take a look at what I have here. I can look at the titles and judge quickly if I want to be able to look at these articles. I can look at where they were written, when they were written. I can do a really quick crap test just looking at them. So I'm going to take a look at this first one here. So it gives me all my good information here, who, what, where, when. It highlights my keywords, which is nice. But if I want to go through the article quickly, like I'm really only interested in what this article says about isolation. If I want to go through that quickly, I can hit Control and F. And what that's going to do, I'm in Google Chrome right now, it brings up a little box right here. I think in Firefox it's down in this corner, and in Explorer or Edge it's up here. But this will allow me to search the documents for certain words. It's going to work on anything. It's going to work on a Word document, a PDF, a web page, whatever you use this for. It's just a computer trick. So let's type in isolation. So I see just typing in isolation, that word appears 3 times, right? It doesn't tell me the context necessarily of how it's being used, but it does show me that it appears 3 times. So that means, okay, maybe I want to take a look at this article here. Okay, so I see that. Cool, very good. And another thing this database allows me to do is highlight things. Because I said in the beginning of this, you're going to want to lean more on the side of having closer to 8 articles, right, when you sit down to write your paper. Because you don't want to find that one of your articles, if you sit down with a bare minimum, you sit down with 5 articles, you're like, yep, good, this is what I'm doing. If one of them turns out to not work for you, you're going to have to stop writing, stop what you're doing, and go back and do the research and start over again. Not fun, you don't want to do it. So have more articles than you think you need. I'm going to show you how to use the database for this, but one thing this database does really well is it allows you to highlight here. I'm the kind of person who will send herself a bunch of stuff and then not quite remember why I wanted it in the first place. This helps you avoid that. So if I really like this sentence, I can highlight it, I can make it a color, I can add a note in here and say this is where they talked about isolation in the article. Cool. So then when I go up to the top of the article, I can examine this sidebar here, right? This is where all of those helpful things are going to be. So I can send the article to my Google Drive, I can send it to my OneDrive, I can print it, I can email it to myself, and honestly, whatever is easiest for you, do that. If you don't use the article, that's the worst thing that happens. You don't use it. It's a piece of paper you throw away or an email you delete. Think of it like your spare tire. You don't really ever think about your spare tire, but you're super glad to have it when you get a flat. So I hope you never need it, but always good to have more articles than you think you need. And Gale will allow me to keep my highlights when I send the article to myself. So if I want to print the article here, as it's loading my preview, I can see that it's going to keep my highlights. So there's my highlighted passage. And then down at the very bottom of the article, it's going to say, this is why you wanted this. Here's your highlight and here's your note. So that's a really, really helpful feature, and it will help you go through your articles very quickly, which is important, right? When you're doing research, research is going to take time, but we're also going to do it smartly. So we're going to go through these pretty quickly and find out what works best for you. So that is our Gale Literary Sources database. I'm going to go back here to my database list, and we are going to take a look at our second database, which is going to be EBSCO. It's also under our popular databases here, EBSCO host. I'm going to click on that. EBSCO is going to give me a long list of databases. I do not suggest checking all of them. There are certain things that are just not going to apply to you, and it's going to junk up your results. For this particular essay, my recommendation is keeping what's already default checked. Academic Search Complete is a great database. I would also click on the letter M up here and add McGill on Literature Plus. That is going to be very, very helpful for this essay. So then I'm going to scroll down here and I'm going to click Continue. So I can see that EBSCO looks a little bit different than Gale, but the functionality is the same. I am going to once again type in my keyword up here. So I'm going to do Frankenstein. And then down here I can see on my second line I have this list of Boolean search operators, which is a fancy way of saying linking words. You're probably going to use and the most. You may occasionally use not. In this case I'm going to keep and because I want to know specifically about the film versions of Frankenstein. This is what I'm interested in. So I'm going to do Frankenstein and film. And notice that it's trying to fill in for me a little bit. It's giving me a drop down here saying, do you mean film or movie or motion picture or cinema? And I do, because I want it to capture all the different ways of saying film, right? We could say film, we could say movie, motion picture, something. My dad used to say flicker. I mean, stuff like that. You want to capture all of those words when you're searching so you get the best possible results. So I'm going to leave this like this, and I'm going to click search, and it gives me 618 results. That's a lot, right? I don't want to go through 618 results. So there's a few ways that I can, break this down. I'm currently looking from 1939 to 2019. If you are only interested in more recent results, you can adjust the year here. And I have various source types available to me. I have magazines, newspapers, but what I really want to do is take a look at academic journals. So I'm going to click that. And the difference between an academic journal and a popular journal is that academic journals are written for a very specific audience, right? I can see that this is from the Historical Journal of Film, Radio, and Television, which is probably not something you're going to pick up at the dentist's office when you're trying to kill time, the way you would pick up like a People magazine or an Us Weekly. This is for a very specific audience who is interested in the topic. The articles are very well researched. They tend to be kind of long and technical, but you know that you're getting really good information. These articles are peer reviewed. Remember at the beginning of the lecture we talked about the CRAP test? These have gone through many CRAP tests. You have a very intelligent person, an expert on the subject, writing an article on the subject they're an expert in, and then giving it to other experts in that subject and saying, hey, is this good? So academic journals are really going to be like high quality information and good stuff here, but I also don't think you're going to read through 32 of them. So I can do my quick CRAP test again. I can take a look as I go down here. Okay, so I can look at the title and see if it's something that I'm interested in. I can look here at the subjects, and the subject is going to be super helpful if you are finding yourself stuck on keywords. Right? This is going to be something that you can take. If you're stuck on keywords, pull some of these and see if they're helpful to you. I can also hover over the little piece of paper in the magnifying glass here and get all my information, as well as an abstract. And an abstract is a summary of the article, right? So I can take a look at this quick summary and judge on that whether or not I would like to look at this article. I mean, if the abstract isn't good for you, don't try to make the square peg fit in the round hole. There's plenty of information out there. If the abstract doesn't look like something that's going to help you, move on. Don't worry about it. I'm going to pretend for the purposes of this demonstration that this is going to work for me. So I'm going to click PDF full text here. And it's going to give me the full text of the article, just like I have it right in front of me. See, I can see this is 21 pages long. Academic articles tend to be longer. But over here, I have my lovely sidebar. Not as clear as ENGL, but still helpful, where I can send it to Google Drive, I can print it, I can email it to myself, I can add to a folder, and then, of course, I have my citation key down here. You probably noticed that in the Gale sidebar too, that there is a citation button. And of course, this is important because we're going to cite everything that we use. If we didn't create it, we're going to cite it. And your class is using MLA8 citations. I'm going to show you a little bit later where your library help is for that, but all of the databases are going to include something like this, a citation key. So when I click on this, it's going to give me my list of citations. I'm going to scroll down to MLA, and there is my MLA citation part. You always want to make sure that this is correct. It's a computer, right? It only knows what I tell it. And if it's pulling from something incorrect, it doesn't know to check it. So you're going to trust but verify. Make sure it matches the correct MLA8 format and the format that your instructor wants. That's who you're writing the paper for. So that's who you want to please. So very helpful, but trust but verify. Another trick here with EBSCO When I scroll down to the bottom here, you'll notice this is usually where people stop in the essay, right? The notes section. Because they think they're done, which I totally understand. My recommendation to you is if this article is really good and really has everything you want, take a look at what your author used. See if we have, if an article in their works cited page here looks good to you, see if we have it at the library. Plug it into the library databases. If we don't, we can get it for you. You just have to give us a little bit of time, but we can usually source articles in a couple of days. So that is ESCO. I want to talk about one last database, and it's under the letter J, J for JSTOR. So I click on this. JSTOR is great for humanities, arts, things like that. It's going to be a really useful database. So what I'm going to do is, again, cast my really wide net. I'm going to type in Frankenstein. And it starts out by giving me 10,000 results. Okay, that's too many. I don't want to read 10,000. Okay, 177 of them are book chapters, so let's say I only want to look at journal articles. It's not really going to help me take it down too much. And then there are a few other ways that I can narrow down my search. I can narrow down my subjects here if I'm interested in a particular subject. If I only want to know about the feminist take on Frankenstein, I can click here and look at those journals. I can do publication dates here if I'm looking within a certain time period. And of course, I can use my Search Within Results tab right up here, which is going to be very helpful. So let's say that I'm interested in looking for the Gothic aspect of Frankenstein. That's what I'm writing about. So I'm going to type in the word Gothic. And it takes me down to 2,000 results. So better than 10, right? Still a lot, but better than 10. So I can add more keywords here if there's more things that I want to get more in depth with about my paper. Or again, I can go through this and just do a quick craft test. Like, okay, this article is about the two vectors of the Gothic and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. That sounds interesting to me. 2013, that's pretty recent. I can look here at the topics. This is what the author says their article is about, and again, going to be really helpful for pulling up keywords. And then if I do decide I want to look at the article, I can go ahead and click on it. And it's going to give me the article just like I have it in front of me, same as ESCO, right? It looks like I have the journal right in front of me. So JSTOR, the one thing I will say, it doesn't have that neat sidebar the way we like it. There's a share option here where you can share it via Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, or email. The email option isn't great, and I've honestly never known anybody who wants to send scholarly research to their social media. You may be the person who proves me wrong, but hey, my recommendation is to download the PDF if you find an article in JSTOR that you like, and either email it to yourself or print it from there. JSTOR does have a lovely cite button though right over here. So here's our MLA citation. And you can see right here that it's pulling from this, and this is incorrect, right? If I just copied and pasted this, I wouldn't get credit because my capitalization is off. So again, we're always going to trust but verify. The nice thing about JSTOR is we do have this stable link here, so you can copy and paste this link, and it's going to take you right to the article. So that's very helpful. So that is JSTOR, and those are the top 3 databases that I think are really going to help you with this paper. I want to show you one more resource. I'm going to go back here to the library homepage. The nice thing, of course, about watching a video is that you can rewind and go back and say, okay, how did we do this? How did we do this? But if you'd like a quick way to do this, find all of the resources we talked about. If we go here and go to Guides by Subject, scroll down to English and Literature, English 101 Fiction Resources. This is going to give you all of that good information. It's going to tell you about the print and ebooks that we have at the library. Here are the literary journal articles that we covered, including examples of how to find them. Here's the Evaluating Sources page in case you're curious about that craft test. And of course, you have your citation help page. I know more and more students are getting very comfortable with MLA, and I'm delighted. If you're not comfortable with it, that's fine. We often hear that that's the scariest part of any research paper. We have this little section set up for you here. We have some handouts for you, some quick videos that kind of walk you through it. There's a little slideshow here that sort of shows you how to uh, properly cite things in MLA. So we do have all this available for you. And of course, the incredibly valuable resource that we have for you is the librarians, right? This contact us page. And I don't say that because I think I'm particularly great, but because I have done this a lot before. All of us working at the Research Help Desk have. We have helped students research multiple topics, and we've done a lot on Frankenstein. So please utilize that. If you need help, call, email, text, open up a live chat, Facebook, Instagram. You can make an appointment with a librarian if you'd like. We can do it virtually, or you can come into the office, whatever is easiest for you. But don't feel like you're alone in this. Ask for help if you need it. We are here to help you. My name again is Elizabeth Cook. I'm the instructional design librarian, so if you want to come see me, I'm usually around. I wish you guys the best of luck. Please don't hesitate to contact us if you need anything. Have a great day, and thank you for watching this video.